Hi guys, this is a quick review video for the quiz today on solving two-step equations. So before we start, just make sure that you draw your fence and then just highlight your constant because that would be your first step. So remember, your first step will always be adding or subtracting, and in order to get rid of this positive 11, we need to subtract 11 to both sides. And that way you can cross it out. You do the same thing on the other side of the fence, and if you subtract 11 from 39, you get 28, bring down the 7x. And then finally, the last step, which is your second step, will always be multiplying or dividing, and when we have 7x and the coefficient is 7, we know that we have to divide both sides by 7 in order to cross that out, and our final answer should be x equals 4. A problem like this, when you have negative 24 minus 7s equals 42, you again use the fence line to draw the little line, the vertical line, to see what you do on both sides of the equal sign. And then you again highlight the number by itself, minus 24, which is negative 24. And remember, you always highlight the side with your variable, and in this case it's rs. Remember, it can be x, s, or any letter of the alphabet, which is the variable. And now, in order to eliminate that negative 24, we would have to add 24 to both sides. And that way you can cross it out, and we know that 42 plus 24 gives you 66. Bring down the negative 7s, so be careful that you do not forget that minus symbol, which is your negative. And now we have negative 7s equals 66. Then you would have to divide both sides by negative 7, because again, that negative 7 is our coefficient. And then we can solve for our variable, which is 66 over negative 7. If you were to put this in a decimal form, you would have to divide it out, and that becomes a nice little decimal. And I would just round to the nearest tenths, so it would be 9.4. The next problem looks like this. This t over 4 minus 13 equals 9. So remember that this is the fraction line, and we're going to just begin with highlighting our number by itself with the variable, and then we can just add 13 to both sides to get this started. And then 9 plus 13, that gives you 22. Bring down that t over 4, and then now we have t over 4 equals 22. We don't have a number in front of the variable this time, and we know that this fraction line means division, so in order to get rid of this 4, we would have to do the opposite operation, which is multiplying by 4. So we have to do it to both sides of the equal sign, and then we can get t equals 88. Now we have 8 minus 1/2 g equals negative 6. Again, draw your fence, highlight your constant, and we know that it's a positive 8, so we would have to subtract 8 to both sides, and then this can cross out. Negative 6 minus 8. So remember our t-chart in our integers operations. We know if it's on the same side, it's just adding 6 plus 8, 14, and then that negative symbol stays the same. And then we know we have to bring down the negative 1/2 g. When we have a fraction like this, remember the rule was that you would have to flip it and multiply it by its reciprocal, which is 2 over 1. And it was a negative, so we have to do it the same charge by multiplying it by negative 2 over 1. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, and then we can just cross this out, and that would be negative 14 over 1 times negative 2 over 1. Remember, you're just multiplying numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator, and that gives you 28 over 1. Negative times a negative gives you a positive, so we know that it's just a positive 28. All right, so I went over 4 different two-step equations, and you are just solving for that variable. Make sure you check your work by plugging in the number back into the equation, and that would be the best way to check your work. Take your time and make sure you try your best. Show all work, and good luck.